Hello everyone, my name is Christian, a computer engineering student from PUP, and welcome to this video. Today we'll review a landmark about the Philippine Supreme Court case of Chavez v. Gonzalez, GR number of 16 8338, decided by February 15, 2008. And even though you might think this is only a low case, as a computer engineering student dealing with communications, data, information, and other flows and digital media, this case is highly relevant, and it involves audio recordings and broadcasting, media licenses, and government regulations. So, and the rights of the press, and moreover it touches the application of anti-wiretapping of Republic Act 4200, and the constitutional guarantees of free speech and the people's right to information. So in this video, we'll cover the five things, and the first of all is what the case is all about, and the fact of the case, the issues that the Supreme Court addressed, the court's ruling, and my takeaways and learning about the case. So let's begin. We'll start from the what the case is all about. So what's the case all about? As its core, the case involves government officials and issuing warnings to media outlets and broadcaster about the dissemination or airing of an alleged wiretapping, mm, mobile phone conversation involving our President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and a commissioner of the Commission on the Election, the COMELEC. The warning was that possessing or broadcasting the tape might violate the Anti-Wiretapping Act Republic Act of 4200, and could lead to sanction, including possible revocation of broadcast licenses. And the petitioner Francisco Chavez challenged these warnings, and the um, um, the warnings and the press conference released by the government bodies, arguing they amounted to an unconstitutional prior restraint on freedom of speech and the people's right to the information. So in short, it's about how far the government can regulate media, the broadcasting of recordings that may have been obtained via wiretapping, and whether the warnings constituted an impermissible restraint on media freedom. And since the wiretapping restraint on media freedoms, it's implicated, the case also turns the legality of the tape, the identity of those who recorded it, and the scope of government regulatory authority. So the second one is the what are the facts of the case. So um the fact that we should know, after the 2004 national and local election, the opposition announced it possessed an audio recording on CD of mobile phone conversation, and allegedly then between our President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and the COMELEC Commissioner Michael Garciliano, eh, concerning alleged election irregularities. So, the state press secretary publicly revealed that two conversations of the CD existed. One said to be the complete version, and the other is the tampered or the alternative. And on June 8, 2005, I think, the Secretary of Justice Raul M. Gonzales issued a warning to media organization and the reporters. So those who possess copies of the CD and broadcast the contents could be liable under the Anti-Wiretapping Act. So then the other one is the June 11, 2005, the regulatory body for the broadcast and communication, the National Telecommunication Commission (NTC) issued a press release reinforcing the airing such material may lead to suspension, revocation or cancellation of the broadcast licenses. The petitioner Francis Chavez filed a petition under the Rule of 65 seeking rights of certiorari and prohibition to nullify those warnings or the acts because they allegedly curtailed freedom of speech and the rights of the people to the information on the matters of public concern. Um, then a key factual issues was the authenticity of the tape, how it was recorded, or who recorded it, whether it was legally obtained, and whether broadcasting it would violate RA 4200. The record showed conflicting version of the tape and uncertainty as the nature of the wiretapping. So this fact set the stage for the constitutional dispute over media and freedom government regulation and the wiretapping act. So the third one is the what are the issues in this case. So first of all, whether the warnings, press statements, and the regulatory threats issued by the Secretary of Justice and the NTC constituted on impermissible prior restraint or I think content based on regulation of the freedom of speech and the press under the 1987 Constitution, um, and the right of the people of the information. So the second one is whether broadcast media or on TV or the radio enjoy the same level of constitutional protection as print media when the uh, issues is restraint and restraint of the freedom speech or press. Respondent contented broadcast media had lesser protection. So another one is the whether the government action was justified with under the anti-wiretapping the Republic Act of 4200, um, whether broadcasting the tape would violate RA 4200 and whether the government showed a clear and present danger or sufficient proof of justify restraining dissemination. In the other words, did the government meet its burden to justify prior restraint. That's the third one. And the fourth one, I think whether the petitioner had legal standing to challenge the government warnings given he was not broadcaster or possessor of the tape but a private citizen. So that these issues allow the court to go deeper into the freedom of expression, jurisprudence, what constitute prior restraint, what standard of review applies, and how RA 4200 interacts with the media of freedom. So the fourth one is the ruling of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court held as the Supreme Court granted the petition. It held that the acts of the Secretary of Justice um, June 8 and the NTC press release on June 11 were unconstitutionally prior restraint on the freedom of speech and the press. So the court ignored the procedural and technicality of locus standby because the case involved a significant public interest and freedom of speech and press, and hence the petition was allowed. So, on the standard of it, the court reaffirmed that a content-based regulation that restricts speech because of its subject must satisfy the clear and present danger test, and it's subject to the strictest is scrutiny. So, on broadcast versus print media, I think the court held that although broadcast media may sometimes be regulated, or when it comes to the content-based prior restraint on speech, press, and the same as clear, media do not automatically get lesser protection when the restriction is content-based. So, that as a result of that, the official statement of June 8 and June 11, 2005 were nullified and the writs of prohibition issued. In effect, the court emphasized the government cannot lightly impose prior restraints on media or press conference simply by issuing warnings, especially where the factual basis is shaky and where the preferred constitutional rights of speech are implicated. So, my takeaways from this case, what I learned first, this case, I think really showed how important freedom of speech and freedom of the press are the I think it show us it shows our voice in the how we speak and how we what you call this uh how we speak, and unless there's a real serious danger in this situation, the warning from DOJ and NTC were not allowed because they acted like a form of censorship. So, second is I learned that government official should not use their power to threaten or control the media. Even if the news is against them, they still have to follow the law. And the third one I think is the RA 4200, or the anti-wiretapping law. The Supreme Court clarified something very important in that the media is not automatically guilty just for airing a recording, and what the law punishes is the illegal act of secretly recording, and news rep- not not news reporting itself. So, the fourth one, I think the media has the right to inform the public, and especially about issues involving government officials. People have the right to know what is happening, and that's the last one. So, overall, in this case, taught me about the balance between law, media, and government power, and why protecting our freedom of matters. So, to wrap this up, Chavez B. Gonzalez is a significant case because it reaffirms that government cannot lightly impose content-based prior restraint on media, especially even in the context of recording that might implicate the Anti-Wiretapping Act, RA 4200, the factual uncertainties in the case meant to the government and failed to meet its heavy burden. So, and for us as a computer engineering student, the relevance is clear in our world of data, recordings, broadcast, and media platforms. The legal technically context matters. We must be aware not only a how to build a system, but to know or how how they impact rights in our freedom or freedoms of others. So that's all for my video. Thank you for watching it, and if you found this video is helpful, so thank you.